Hello best learners, this is Mustafa here at Learn with the Best, and today we're going to be looking at Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Law number 22, use the surrender tactic, transform weakness into power. In this video, I'm going to define the law for you, and then we're going to be going over several short stories to understand, analyze, and use this law to our greatest advantage. Here's the law. When you are weaker, never fight for honor's sake. Choose surrender instead. Surrender gives you time to recover, time to torment and irritate your conqueror, and time to wait for his power to wane. Do not give him the satisfaction of fighting and defeating you. Surrender first. By turning the other cheek, you infuriate and unsettle him. Make surrender a tool of power. Once upon a time, thousands of years ago, the island of Melos was a geographically strategic point situated in the heart of the Mediterranean. It had originally been colonized by Sparta, but that was ages ago, and now Athens ruled all of the surrounding territories. And so, during the Peloponnesian War, Athens wanted the island of Melos to join and ally itself with the great nation, but the Melians refused because they wanted to remain loyal to Sparta. The Athenians wanted to negotiate a peaceful surrender for the inhabitants of Melos because they didn't want to needlessly take the lives of everyone on the island. The Athenian delegates told the Melians that Athens was many more times stronger than the small island of Melos, and that Athens would easily crush the small island and just have it repopulated with its own people. The Melians argued, saying, "This is not fair play." The Athenian delegates responded that those in power are the ones to determine what is and is not fair. The Melians kept arguing. They said that all power belongs to the gods and not to any mortals. They said that Mother Sparta would come to their aid if the Athenians dared to attack. The Melians went on and on, talking of honor and the principles behind resisting brute force. So, a few days later, the Athenians invaded the island of Melos. The Melians fought nobly and lost horribly. Sparta did not come to their aid. All of the men who were of military age were put to death, and the women and children were sold as slaves. The Athenians repopulated the island with their own colonists, and they now had the island of Melos as their own strategically located colony to help them in the Peloponnesian War. The Athenians were practical people. They made a great argument when trying to negotiate peace with the Melians. When you're weaker, there is nothing good to be gained by fighting a useless battle. Mother Sparta did not come to help their weak Melian colonists because they would have put themselves in jeopardy fighting a battle that they knew they could not win. By refusing to give in, the Melian elders not only forfeited their own lives, but the lives of all of the Melian people. If they would have instead surrendered and allied themselves with the Athenians, even if they were faking it, they would have kept their lives, they would have kept their land, and they could have simply waited to see if Athens would win the war. If yes, then great, their alliance with the Athenians would have worked out. If no, then great, they could back out of the allegiance at a later time. They sacrificed everything for their honor, only so thousands of years later we could use them as an example of what not to do. The Melians should have used the surrender tactic, and they could have transformed their weakness into power. Now let's look at a few more short stories. But before we do that, I want to shamelessly plug my course into the middle of this video. If you want to transform yourself from a lamb to a lion, then check out my course pinned in the top comment below. I will teach you the importance of time and how you can manage your time in order to achieve your dreams and your life purpose. Let's be honest here, the majority of the population are sheep, taking part in the 9-to-5 rat race of life, not enjoying their work and never fulfilling or even finding their life purpose. You go to work, you come home, you eat a pizza, you watch the newest TV show, and day by day, month by month, decade by decade, your life passes you by and you have never achieved your dreams. So let me be your sensei. I will give you the tools that you need for success, but keep in mind, this is not a magic pill and it will require hard work on your part. You have to follow what I teach and you have to put in the work on yourself on a daily basis. So if you're interested, then again, check out my course pinned in the top comment below. Okay, so let's get back into it. What usually gets us in trouble in the game of power is our own overreaction to the moves of our rivals and our enemies. Our overreaction causes an overreaction on their side, and it spirals back and forth out of control. When it comes to this law, you have to read the situation, and if you know that you are in a weaker position than your foe, then you have to find the best way to surrender. Remember that if you surrender, you are only doing it outwardly for appearances only, and you are not truly surrendering. By using this tactic, the greatest benefit you gain is time. Time to grow stronger, time for your enemy to grow weaker, time for you to learn, time for you to assess and reassess your position on the chessboard. Once upon a time, in ancient China, King Goujian suffered a devastating defeat from the ruler of Wu. Goujian wanted to flee, but his advisor suggested that he surrender and place himself in the service of the Conqueror instead, because from that position, he could study the man and plot his own revenge. Goujian agreed. He gave the ruler all of his riches and went to work in the Conqueror's stables as the lowest of the low servants, and for 3 years he humbled himself before the Conqueror. Finally satisfied of his loyalty, the Conqueror allowed him to return home. Inwardly now, Goujian had spent those 3 years gathering information and plotting revenge. So sometime later, when a horrible drought struck Wu and the kingdom was weakened by inner turmoil, Goujian raised an army, invaded, and won with ease. This is the true power behind this law. Let's look at another example. Once upon a time, the French writer Voltaire was living in exile in London at a time when anti-French sentiment was at its highest. One day, while walking through the streets, Voltaire found himself surrounded by an angry crowd. "Hang him! Hang the Frenchman!" they yelled. Voltaire calmly addressed the mob with the following words: "Men of England, you wish to kill me because I am a Frenchman. Am I not punished enough in not being born an Englishman?" The crowd cheered at his thoughtful words and escorted him safely back to his lodgings. Remember, the oak tree that resists the wind loses its branches one by one, and with nothing left to protect it, the trunk finally snaps. On the other hand, the oak tree that bends with the wind lives longer. Its trunk grows wider, its roots deeper, and the tree grows more tenacious. Alright, I think we should end the video here. If you like this law, then I suggest you go back and watch my video on the first law of power, never outshine the master. These two laws are complements of one another because of how they teach you to relax and step into the shadows, biding your time for better days. If you like my YouTube content and you want to support me, then please check out my Patreon link pinned in the top comment below. I upload new videos every Friday for my Patreon subscribers. They go deeper into my life regarding the 48 laws. These videos are a bit more raw and untamed than my usual videos here on YouTube. And if you're a patron of mine already, then I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because it's people like you that make all of this content even possible in the first place. Please don't forget to simply subscribe, smash that thumbs up button below, and make sure you hit that bell icon so YouTube can let you know exactly when a new video is posted. I hope you enjoyed this animated video on Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Law number 22. Use the surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. Thanks, and I'll see you next time for Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power, Law number 23.